player you were. I can still see you playing that fullback, knocking those players out of the way. And that I believe I could have run behind you.
Martin, I can remember the league games in summer, and you were playing fullback up there. And I saw you in the weight room and watched you work out in the weight room. And you can figure out you were almost picking up the whole weight room. I wanted to fix it, and I learned that thing from biggest mistake you ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports, Tide 100.9, and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Good morning and welcome into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier on Tide 100.9. Now we're live, local, and ready to get things going. Hopefully you are off to a great start. We definitely are, and want to invite you to get in on the conversation right here on your home for Alabama Sports Tide 100.9 on the radio dial, on the live stream, live, local, and ready to go on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. It is the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, powered by MaX Sports. We got a great show lined up for you. Want to invite you to join in on the conversation via live chat. If you have a thought, comment, or would like to get in on it, let us know. Type it in, and we'll work it in. Remember that this is the day that the Lord has made, so let's rejoice and be glad in it. Take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone, be the difference you want to see in the world today. Good morning, X. How you doing, sir?
X may not be on the line. He just texted me and said he had an emergency.
Okay. Well, pray everything is okay.
Maybe
okay.
Not hearing
that. Okay. When he gets back, I'll just let me know when he joins us back.
For sure.
All right. Well, of course, today is Thursday, so part of our show is intended to be around recruiting, and I definitely let Xavier drive that conversation. So we won't start with that. We'll kick that back to when he's able to return. Prayerfully, nothing is wrong there in Jesus' name, and everything is okay. And we'll get him back on. One of the conversations that I did have from yesterday was around the Manchin and Tuberville takes on the NIL. Actually, there's a couple of different bills that are being passed around in Congress about NIL. And, of course, now they're going to take on the transfer portal. So we'll see how that all works out. Everyone that has ever listened know that for me, I have been anti-getting Congress involved with NIL. And I haven't really talked about them getting involved with the transfer portal, but it looks like Senator Manchin and Tuberville have decided that they would not only take on NIL, but they would take on a couple other issues that are impacting, I won't say plaguing, the college football game, because I'm not as upset with everybody with the direction of college football as everyone else is. So the issues that are plaguing the college world, of course, is NIL, collectives, the variation from state to state, and how different each one is looking, how each state approaches it. So that the NIL issue could become a big time issue that just even though you have NIL, you've now created possibly an even worse or unlevel playing field in some ways regarding that. So that part's interesting. It's hard to believe that you could have a worse worse recruiting landscape, but maybe, just maybe, that has been created with NIL. The portal, on the other hand, I think it's also a good concept, but because of the way many young people are raised today, they want it now. They have it's a microwave mentality. Give it to me now, or I'm out of here. So that needs to be addressed. And then one of the other ones that I thought was interesting that the two bills addressed was healthcare, and I'm all for that if they get that part implemented. But this bill is not going to be without its challenges. But let's look at the Senator Manchin and Tuberville, what they're looking at doing. Their bill, first of all, is called the PASS bill, PASS, the Protecting Athletes, Schools, and Sports Act. And this would be establish a regulatory body to monitor agents and collectives like that. I like that piece of it. So kudos to them on one strike. Like I said, I'm anti getting Congress involved, our government involved in anything. But maybe since there's a football player, former football coach involved, maybe they can make some good sense. And that is a good start. A regulatory body to monitor agents and collectives. And then from there would include a standard NIL contract for athletes. I don't really have an issue with having a standardized form of the contract. But if you're going to have where standard means the same, then I think there needs to be some representation coming from the player side of things. If you're talking about these are the types of things that are included and have some broad categories that limit certain types of things that young athletes should not be involved with, alcohol and smoking and gambling and things like that, then I'm okay with those things being standardized. But if they're not able to go out on the free market as a whole, then I don't like that. So have to see what they mean by standard NIL contract. I do like having some guidelines though. I'm not sure about this next one. A website that would publish names of athletes receiving NIL deals and how much they make. Let me know what you think about that.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, knowing you think, is that fair to the players that why should we have that information? I guess. Why?
I mean, well, I think if you think about it, it may be split from different schools. Like, because if you think about if it's like a public school, I mean, we get all the information of how much those professors are getting paid is public information. If they're a player for a public school, I mean, it's the same type of thing.
Well, is it? Because they're not employees of that school. And the money they're getting isn't coming from that school. And it's not a part of their scholarship contract. I could see if the school gives them money or if the school promises to get them NIL deals, then in relation to that. But a coach signs a contract and part of his contract is that he can go out and get all of that. But we don't know all of their amounts when they get their endorsements. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, will it make things better for the? It's like when you're unionized or something. Is it better for the workers to know how much everyone else gets paid, so you can compare, or is that just going to make things more complicated? Is it better for something like that to be like secret, so that way everything can be sort of with each individual person?
Yeah, that's the part I don't know. It's kind of like, first of all, should we know it? And if you're gonna set up everything like it's a union, then the players need to be able to be represented, and the university or the NCAA needs to put some skin in the game, right? Because right now, NIL doesn't come from the school; it comes from everybody else. It comes from collectives and all of that, and so or from individual businesses and companies. Where in a union situation, they're talking to the university itself, who the players will be working for, and they're representing the players against the university. But what they're saying is, hey, we're gonna let you know all of their business and everything, and and figure it out from there. Um, so interesting thought there. That was one of the ones that I was like, I'm not sure how I feel about that, because the other side of that, Noah, is you start publishing what every player is getting. The coaches may not want that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Coaches don't want it, but do you ask from the other side? I mean, is it something that is better for the players to know? Like, if I was in that position, I want to know how much my other people are paid.
Sometimes I don't know. I mean, it seems like you would, but will your feelings be hurt? Because here's the reality: NIL should have been an endorsement based thing, not a. Here's one of the problems, no, I think that people have, and we'll get the break here. But here's one of the problems that people don't get about NIL. NIL isn't about, like, in the NFL, you have guys who get contracts. Okay, Herbert just got $260 something million in a contract. Trayvon Diggs got 97, both well paid, but obviously one guy is viewed on one team and position more than other. But Trayvon Diggs could go out and get 10 times the endorsements that Herbert does, because it's about him and his ability to go out and build his name, image, and likeness. The contract is about what you pay, that player for your team. A scholarship is about what you pay the player. NIL should be about what you're able to go out and get for yourself through your name, image, and likeness. But what would happen is players would begin to compare those numbers when one guy may have a better agent, better representative, better personality, and may not be as good a player. And now your feelings start getting hurt, because you're like, man, I know I do more to help win. NIL is not about how much you do to help Alabama win. It's about whether you got the face, the personality, the persona, and the ability to represent, that makes you valuable in NIL. And that's the confusion that I think happens in NIL, is the collectives and the coaches, they're trying to pay everybody the same or as much as they can. And I think if you start publishing that, you're gonna some guys' feelings are gonna be hurt. They have an idea what some of these guys have, but when some of them see that they're getting their little, and don't get me wrong, I would have gladly taken $50,000 a year additional when I was in college. But when you see that one other guy has $3 million or $4 million because of his name, image, and likeness, and not whether or not he's the best player or not, you might have your feelings hurt. We'll keep the conversation going, because there's a couple other things on this NIL, Manchin, Tuberville story that we want to get to. We'll talk about it on the other side. To listen to the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier on Tide 100.9.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, no accident. The hard road and the section on Queen City for 15th down the hard road. If you see other conditions, give me a call. Go grab a summertime savings at your hometown Nissan dealer, Townsend Nissan of Tuscaloosa. I'm Cat Wright.
Get a great deal on Kubota M-Series utility tractors. Our powerful, versatile lineup is rated #1 in durability and owner experience. So whether you need to mow, rake, stack, lift, or pull, get it done right with Kubota M-Series utility tractors. Right now, get select Kubota M-Series utility tractors for 0 down, 0% APR for up to 60 months. Now through September 30th. See us or go to KubotaUSA.com. Full disclaimer.
Tuscaloosa Tractor, 3921 Skyland Boulevard East. Don't you buy no ugly tractor.
It's the Tuscaloosa Community Calendar, powered by Pepsi.
If you have a community event in Tuscaloosa in West Alabama, tell us about it. All you have to do is email the information to TuscaloosaPSA@townsquaremedia.com. Be sure to include all the details, like the cause, date, time, location, and a good contact name and number. Email it to TuscaloosaPSA@townsquaremedia.com. We're away on the line. It's official. Avery is producing Main Street Music Day. We need to be ready. We're going to have lots of people. What's the status on the new sound engine? They need an audio technician to keep things level from sound checks to encore. Your audio from one stage does not compete with another. Hey, Martin?
And, yes, you're coming through, by the way.
Hey, yeah, I was just going to check.
High today 98, the low tonight 75. For tomorrow and Saturday, partially sunny both days, isolated afternoon storms, highs between 96 and 99. I'm James Spann of the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 73 degrees in Tuscaloosa. It's time for the Martin Houston Show with the same hard-hitting, no-nonsense approach in which he played the game. Martin will take you inside the locker room, down on the field, and across the goal line with his in-depth analysis.
Good morning. Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, powered by MaX Sports. X had an emergency come up, so we will lightly touch on the recruiting. If it comes up, I'll answer what I can, but you're still welcome to bring it in, and we'll have the MaX recruiting on tomorrow. We'll and we're also talking NIL. Do we want Congress getting involved? And then also we had a couple other things we can talk about that time permitting. And then we are post SEC Media Days. So that means that we'll start doing our SWOT analysis with the Alabama 2023 football team. We'll talk about the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats based on the coaching staff, based on the offense, defense, special teams, etc. So we'll spend the rest of the summer break talking about those things as we count down to the official kickoff of the 2023 football season. With that said, we have Pat in with us this morning. Pat, you in on the Alabama One hotline. What's on your mind, sir?
Hey, we'll save actual questions about players to tomorrow. But let's talk about what you've been talking about already on these initiatives and these kind of things that are collectives. I like the word collectives. Martin, that we've got to get a handle on what collectives are able to offer for different types of positions and things. Maybe I know this, that when whenever I was working, and I got an opportunity to see what some people were being paid, and I knew what they weren't doing, and it hurt my feelings. And that again, I'm very concerned about some people getting different positions and stuff about what they're going to be being paid, and hey, if it gets to the point that says, hey, perhaps we're going to let them we're going to miss this block,
Well,
what happens there, Mark?
Couple things, Pat.
It gets to be real bad, Mark.
First of all, Pat, you have to ask yourself, what's the purpose of the collectives? Okay, so when you look at the collective, that huh?
Get players to the university, point blank.
Well, no. See, that's a misunderstanding. A collective should not have any effect on whether a kid comes to your school or not, because the rule clearly says that you cannot use the NIL to entice someone to come to your school. Right?
It says that. Can we say Tennessee? My question is, what about the quarterback? Because he got, we're hearing anywhere from $2 to $4 million, and it's never come to pass.
Right. That's exactly correct. And that's the hypocrisy of the NCAA, is that they just nailed Jeremy Pruitt for $60,000 while they have a kid who is reporting to that exact same school for an $8 million contract if he stays 4 years. Okay? If he stays 4 years, he'll make $8 million at Tennessee. And what they said, or what they tried to say, was he had already decided he was coming to Tennessee, and then after that they made him the offer. Yeah, hogwash. But
oh, that's just too funny, Martin.
Yeah. So and he hasn't signed any. He didn't sign anything till he officially signed with the school, right? So but if you have to disclose things when you get them and when they're decided, maybe that is a good thing about the website. But I'll circle back to this, Pat. Here's the problem with the collective. If a collective is doing it, then the collective needs to operate on a couple things. Now that collective was not used in the Tennessee situation. That was an individual business that decided to give money for that particular student, okay, that athlete. But here's the question, Pat. This is what you have to start thinking about, is if a collective is involved, should you just have, if you're a first teamer or starter, you get this much. If you're second team, you get this much. If you're on a roster and do not play, you get this much. That's one way. Because collectives, remember, they go out and collect money from individuals and businesses. To me, they should not be able to come back and go, okay, we're going to give, if I give $100,000, they should not be able to determine which player they give that $100,000 to. It should be split amongst the team, because they sell me that I'm supporting the university. They sell me that I'm supporting the team. So I don't think collectives give different amounts regardless of whether you start, play, or not. I think every player, I know that's the way Nick Saban wanted it done, is what I'd heard. I know that Texas was giving every offensive lineman like $50,000. I like that aspect of the collective because here's the reality. I may be good enough to play and not get to play because I'm a year younger than the guy in front of me. And I'm not going to get his reps. But I go out every day at practice and make the other team, the defense, better. That is my role. So I should be rewarded for it. And if you just got, it's sort of like, politics in the PAC funds. You better be careful how you distribute it, or so you get in trouble. So that's what I would say about the collectives. As far as NIL, man, as far as businesses and individuals, I say that's a free-for-all. If something's collected as a whole for the football team, then that should be split amongst the scholarship players.
Yeah, and Martin, that's exactly right. The thing about it is, these NIL deals, that still is basically buying players.
It's not buying players, Pat. It's not buying players as long as there's no set thing that says you're going to get, if you're an offensive lineman, you're going to get $50,000 if you come to Texas. That's buying players. If I'm on this team and the collective raises $1 million and there's 100 players, then we all get the same amount, no matter. But I don't know how much the collective is going to have till I'm on campus.
Yeah, well, that may be well and good, but then with the transfer portal, hey, when I find out when I get on campus, well, they only collected $2 million. But University of LSU, who has oil wells, collected $50 million. Their salary cap is not the same, Martin Houston. And the haves and have-nots, because just like I said, University of Arkansas can make this whole thing where it ain't fair.
Pat, what has the University of Alabama been doing in recruiting before there was an NIL? Who had the facilities? Hold on.
It was because they wanted to come and play for Coach Saban. It was just like coming and playing for Coach Bryant. We're going to go there. We're not going to go any further on that.
Yeah, because our facilities have gotten a lot of guys to come play for us when they were comparing Georgia and Florida and Auburn and all of those places. And what happened in recent years is Kirby has turned around and took Nick Saban's facility ideas, added to them, magnified them, multiplied them, and they have a facility over there that stands on its own, and they're continuing to add to it. Now Alabama doesn't have that advantage. So this the only difference between the collectives and all of that, Pat, and others, is the fact that now the players can get something in their pocket versus Nick Saban has always been doing a collective type thing where he couldn't put money in players' pockets, so he took his and made facilities which served the players really nice. Now you got people out there doing the same thing. Hey, Pat, we got to get the break here. Appreciate you, sir. It is. He just had to take care of something unexpectedly. Thanks for asking.
Hey, have a blessed day. We'll get it tomorrow. Bye.
All right, bye. Coming back on the other side, we'll keep the conversation going right here on the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, powered by MaX Sports. The Alabama One hotline is open for business.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, no active wrecks this morning, but we do have a lot of road work going on in the area. Paving on 10th Avenue from 15th to Hard Road, and another section on Queen City from 15th down to Hard Road. If you see other conditions, give me a call. Go grab a summertime savings at your hometown Nissan dealer, Townsend Nissan of Tuscaloosa. I'm Cap Wright.
O'Reilly Auto Parts' new Brake Best Select program raises the bar for the best aftermarket domestic brake pads and rotors available. for vehicle-specific friction formulations, Quiet-Tech noise-canceling shims, and stainless steel hardware, choose Brake Best Select Pro. Professional-grade brakes from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Ask big.
Have you seen our artisan-created diamonds? If you've been in a room with one, you can't miss it.
Tom Osmond from Fincher and Osmond.
It's the diamonds like I've never seen.
He's seen a lot of diamonds.
Ask big.
At Fincher and Osmond, you can put artisan-created diamonds side by side with mined diamonds. When you see it,
More importantly, when she sees it,
FincherandOsmond.com.
McFarland Boulevard between Edgar's and Local Roots.
Deodorant you use on your butt? You heard that right. I'm Dr. Shannon Klingman, founder of Lumi Whole Body Deodorant. It's time to summer-proof your body odor. Lumi's formula works everywhere. hours. That's 3 whole days of fresh fun in the sun. As an OBGYN, I met thousands of women looking for a better way to control odor below the belt. So I created Lumi, a pH-optimized, aluminum-free deodorant that actually works. With over 150,000 5-star reviews to prove it. Ready for your freshest summer ever? Head to LumiDeodorant.com to get started. There's a special offer for listeners. Use code 23 and get an extra $5 off a Lumi starter pack that comes with a free product of your choice and ships free with code 23. LumeDeodorant.com, code 23 for an extra $5 off a Lumi starter pack. That's LumeDeodorant.com, code 23.
The sound of Bama Sports. Your show, your team. The Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back in. Go check out Alabama1.org. Got great promotion going on right now. We got a getaway giveaway where we're giving away weekly gift cards valued at $100 for to get that tank full of gas based on what your vehicle is. Also, we got $1,000 monthly prize for that getaway that you're planning, or we're going to give a $5,000 value pack vacation getaway at the end of October. Also, right now, hey, look, while the rates are up, your loan rates are up. So if you're looking to borrow, they're up a little bit. But the good news about that is so are the deposit rates. At Alabama One, we have CD rates as high as 5.2 APR, 5.3 APY. So you can get a great deal on those CD rates as high as 5.3 APY. And that is available on our 12-month CD. We have different rates. Also, on our money market in our Ascend checking account, you can actually earn up to 4.2%. So it's a really, really good deal with our enhancement pricing. So either way, if you're wanting to lock it in for a set time, get over 5%. If you're wanting to lock it in, put it in there and have some flexibility or maximum flexibility, like a regular checking account, you can get up to a little over 4%. So go check out Alabama One. Go to our website, alabama1.org, or stop by one of our branch locations, and we'll be able to assist you. All right. NIL conversation going on, talking about the collective and what Manchin and Tuberville wanting to do. Hadn't finished explaining that, but that's okay. We'll get back to that once we get through the calls. We have Todd with a question regarding or comment maybe regarding NIL. Good morning, Todd. You're in on the Alabama One Hotline. What's on your mind, sir?
Hey, good morning, Martin. Thank you for taking my call. This
slippery slope that we're on with the NIL, man. It's confirmed that it's slippery because you got big government want to come in and put more rules and regulations on it. You know, it seems like it got rolled out there with little to no, regulations. I'm not fully aware of all of the, rules and everything, but you know how when it comes to rules, people are gonna get right there next to that edge, that rule, and sometimes those lines are crossed. But thinking about big corporations and the big guns, they're gonna follow those athletes. To me, this is just my opinion. They're gonna follow those athletes that are gonna be on prime time. TV. They're gonna be on prime time. Alabama. Ohio State, Georgia Bulldogs. To me, I would follow those teams, and I don't know what it costs for commercials nowadays, but they have, they just say like, for instance, the big guys that went with Bryce Young, they had 3 hours of advertisement because their names tagged that young man, and so it was a win-win for everybody. I'm happy for the athletes to be able to gain, to gain from their ability, God-given talent and stuff. But following those universities is big, going to Alabama, are you going to get that bigger NIL because I chose a specific school? You got to understand, not really got to understand, but I'm trying to understand, those decisions being made. So it is just a very slippery slope, and you probably talk about this every day, all day. I'm just not a big fan of rolling something out and continue trying to, change it with rules and regulations that, I don't know, it seems like it should have been done, the first time right.
It should have been done differently, and it should have been rolled out differently. But the problem, Todd, is that the NCAA did not want to do it, and the federal courts, the Supreme Court said, you cannot stop this. And so what they did, instead of handling their business for the previous 25, 30 years that this had been an issue, and instead of doing it right, sometimes I think they almost did it on purpose. Okay, we'll show you. And they just threw it out there to make it a mess, which is going to backfire on them. So they didn't put any rules out there. And remember the Wild Wild West? You go back and look at the history books, the way things were done as our country expanded. There was a lot of stuff that happened back then that was just part of, conquering the Wild Wild West that would be illegal now because we finally got some rules and some things to help govern expansion of our country. But before, it was a Wild Wild West. Well, that's what they did with NIL right on the heels of the transfer portal. They created a Wild Wild West for college football. And I will tell you, everybody assumes that the superstars get all the endorsements. And that's what one of the guys who had some of the least endorsements out there was a guy named Jerry Rice. Do you remember what Jerry Rice did at the end of his career? Do you remember when he went to the Raiders and tried to create a bad boy image?
Right.
How did that work out for him? He didn't get a lot of endorsements per se compared to the Deions of the world when he was at his prime, because he was a good guy. He was a great guy. He was a great player, but he wasn't a great spokesman. He wasn't a great representative of a product or business. He didn't have enough flamboyancy. They want someone who can take it not just to those 3 hours, but they want someone who can take it off the field and take it into the public, that they can build commercials around and all of that. The problem with these athletes now is that the contract starts over when they graduate. Yeah. And a lot of times the businesses are about the university. That's why they're struggling, is because if you were now, the national brands may go with these big guys, but that's what I'm telling you. Go with the guys who are Alabama folk. If you have the right people who represent you, and you may not be a guy that is going to go to the next level, but you'll be an Alabama guy for the rest of your life. And if they invest in you as a college player, like for instance, say, and this is not that I was some great player, but had I been represented, those who would have had, I've been around Tuscaloosa in Alabama for 30 plus years, and they would still be getting value out of that endorsement. You see what I'm saying? So it's a little different in the college game. So, but they did mess it up in the way they did it. So thanks, Josh. You got anything before I let you go?
We got one last thing. You know how in the NFL the quarterbacks are successful or whatnot. They get roll out Rolex watches, state dinners, and just that the other for their offensive line. I just wonder if any of these actually, because we've always taught there's no I and P. We've been taught that to teach that. So they're successful because of the team. I'm just wondering if any of them that do share their wealth with the teammates.
Well, I can tell you that AJ McCarron, he used to bring the guys over and they ate hot dogs, is what I think is what their thing was. I heard that Bryce did some. I think that these will, but even before there was an NIL, some of the Alabama quarterback guys used to actually take guys out or do stuff. And I think they said AJ said, I ain't rich, but I want to show y'all appreciation. And he used to do hot dogs, but I don't know if that's one of those myths or reality. Thanks, Todd.
Thank you, Mark.
All right. Up next, we got Philip talking a little NIL collective. You're in on the Alabama One hotline with Martin. What's on your mind, sir?
Good morning. To me, the collective, it got burst out of Justice Kavanaugh's comments when he ruled on NIL. So, he had kind of an animosity tone statement. You remember when he gave his ruling, had a lot of animosity in it, and sort of dogged out the NCAA. But to me, the collective got birthed that day. That's when the collective got birthed.
Correct.
And the collective has turned, collective is a fancy, beautiful word. What it really is such a doggone emergency slush fund.
I don't even know if it's emergency now. I think it's about as much. I think it's a standard piece of recruiting. I think kids now, Philip, it's not even emergency slush fund. I think kids want to know, what am I going to get paid from the university? Because, like I said, part of Coach Saban's thing was that every kid gets something. Okay, every kid. I'm assuming scholarship. I don't know if it's every kid talking about walk on, but every scholarship athlete gets paid something. And that's kind of a thing across all sports they try to do, I think. And so even if you don't play, you get $10,000 or $25,000 or whatever that amount is. Well, to Pat's point earlier, if one collective has 50 million, and I think that has been pretty public, and one gets 10, well, I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but I have a chance of getting 5 times as much at the other school as I do at school B. So.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you're right. It is a standard fare now for major schools, to operate by that collective. I mean, they all have them. Kentucky sort of. I read about Kentucky's collective a few weeks ago, back when they were, really getting it going. Auburn's got one, Alabama's got one. I don't know what Mississippi State's got.
Hey, but here's the thing: it's not in any way associated with the level of the football or the caliber of the football. Okay, the Auburn Tigers are spanking Alabama's butt. The last number I heard. Now that could have changed, but think about it. Auburn has Yellowwood, which, if I'm not mistaken, he may be, as far as boosters, the top booster in the state of Alabama from a money standpoint. And he may be the richest man in Alabama, period. But then they have who? Tim Cook. Tim Cook with Apple. Tim Cook can sneeze and fund the collective for Alabama. But he's putting his collective toward Auburn. Don't think it's coincidence that these guys are looking at Auburn all of a sudden.
Oh, I know, Martin.
All right.
But Justice Kavanaugh, I mean, that collective thing, it's a Frankenstein monster. And it got put together after Kavanaugh's comments. And that's what happened. And the schools ran with it, and they created Frankenstein, and now we got a monster now.
Well, and I'll let you go after this, Philip, but you need to understand that the state of Missouri said that the legislator, the government of Missouri said we're a public institution, and the NCAA nor the SEC can tell us what we can do with our players.
Yeah, I kind of admire that.
Huh?
I kind of admire their stance. I don't know where that's going to go, but they've definitely put the line in the sand, haven't they, Mark?
Well, yeah, but to me, if I'm the SEC, I go, well, go find you a conference to play in, and who loses there.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, I'm gonna tell you, if I'm a player on Missouri, I want them to be careful. When they were going after the NCAA, I would have been okay. But when they went after the SEC, and the SEC takes and gives Missouri $50 million at the end of the year because Alabama and Georgia are winning, and they get the same amount of money, they're already part of a collective. That's all the SEC is from a league. I have to get the break, Philip, but I appreciate the fact that they're going to make them do something, but they better be ready to suffer the consequences, or they'll be back in the Big 12.
Let me say this for a league. Whenever these schools start hiring athletic director over collectives, that guy is going to be as important as the athletic director.
You're talking about whoever manages the collective?
Yes.
Yeah.
Their collective guy is going to be as important as the AD.
Would agree. Thanks, Philip. Have a good one. Coming back on the other side, we'll keep the conversation going right here on the Martin Houston Show. We'll put the finishing touches on this edition of the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier.
High 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, no active wrecks this morning, but we do have a lot of road work going on in the area, paving on 10th Avenue from 15th to Hard Road, and another section on Queen City from 15th down to Hard Road. If you see other conditions, give me a call. Go grab a summertime savings at your hometown Nissan dealer, Townsend Nissan of Tuscaloosa. I'm Captain Ray.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread.
Good Thursday morning, plaintiff Eric Milligan has vowed to file a challenge in federal court to the new slightly adjusted congressional district map passed by the Alabama legislature and approved by Governor Ivey. The new map does not follow the order of the U.S. Supreme Court to create an identifiable second majority minority district. Alabama Attorney General Steve Marshall is defending that map, and he will file a response by August the 14th. Click TuscaloosaThread.com for more local news. Don Harkin, Tuscaloosa Media, Tuscaloosa.
Let's fiesta our way through July at Pearl River Resort. Stop by Fridays and Saturdays for your chance to earn pieces from this special cookware collection. The set includes a quesadilla maker, rice cooker, tortilla bowl maker, and a slow cooker. This perfect combination is sure to make you the hostess with the mostest. Pearl River Resort, always making you shine. Must be 21 to gamble. Be sure to join the University of Alabama Black Faculty and Staff Association as they host their inaugural scholarship Litzy White Extravaganza on Friday, July 28th at the Cypress Inn Pavilion in Tuscaloosa. The event kicks off at 7 in the evening. This event helps support funding for the Student Emergency Fund and to support BFSA student scholarships. For more information and ticket details, Log on to bfsa.ua.edu.
If you're hiring, it can feel like trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. Like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers.
ZipRecruiter helps you find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Now try ZipRecruiter free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/FREE.
Interact with the Martin Houston Show by calling us at 205-342-9904. Tuning into the Martin Houston Show on Facebook.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show. Hey, go check out Taco Casa. Taco Casa, quality, taste, value, and the biggest cactus in town. They'll be glad to serve you today. That's Taco Casa, tacocasa.com. It's now time for the Harvest Church 2-minute warning. Harvest Church, loving God, loving people, hctuscaloosa.com. So go check us out. That's Harvest Church, Sundays at 9 for Bible study, Sunday school, and worship in the Word at 10 a.m. All right, let's put the finishing touch on this edition. We'll circle back on the PASS Act by Senator Tuberville and Manchin, their bill, the Protecting Athletes, Schools, and Sports Act. Real quick, going to have a regulatory body to monitor agents and collectives like it. Also include standardized NIL contract, need a little more detail on that. Then a website that publishes the name of the athletes receiving NIL deals and how much they make. I'm fine with the first part that they get published, not sure about the dollar amount. And then they're going to have guaranteed insurance against sports-related injuries for up to 8 years following an athlete's graduation. I like that. I don't know what's the magic number about 8, but I do like having some things because I personally had a surgery years. I was 27, I think, when I had to have the surgery, and it was directly related to a sports injury that I had, and it just progressively got worse over that time. So I like that aspect of it. So when you look at a couple of these things, that's really, really good. And they didn't stop there. They went on to try to address player movement, to restrict player movement, which, of course, since the transfer portal has gone into place, has gone through the roof. I think they said it was some crazy number, 3,000 different moves or something like that. And most of those guys ended up still in the portal, either losing scholarships, dropping down scholarships, or getting some variation. But most who go into the portal, in the old commercial, the old Roach Motel commercial, the roaches go in, but they don't come out. Well, not trying to be too graphic or hard on the players. Most of the guys going into the portal, unless they have already broken a rule and had conversations with the schools that they are going to, most of the guys that go into the portal are not coming out on the other side in a better situation. Many of them are going in and coming out in a lesser situation. So should they change the rule? I don't know. Under the current rule, athletes are allowed one transfer during their undergraduate tenure without sitting out a year. Then if they get that one get out of jail free card, they either have to graduate or seek an NCAA waiver to maintain immediate eligibility. And that's the key word, immediate eligibility. Guys can transfer as many times as they want, but they only get one get out of jail free card, meaning they can transfer and not be punished by having to sit out a year. Tuberville says student athletes should be able to take advantage of NIL promotional activities without impacting their ability to play college sports. So not a problem with the NIL, and not even a problem with the portal. I think their tenure is to get a rule in place that the players and athletes have to stay for 3 years. The coaches will absolutely love that. Okay. The coaches will love it. The players, on the other hand, probably not so much. And it will probably, if this bill passes, that piece of it will be challenged without a doubt by the players. But the question is, if the government passes it, how or what's going to be the process for the players to align? And I think if this passes, don't be surprised if that doesn't lead to a union for the players, because if you can now all of a sudden take the players and and make rules and stuff, and they have no representation, and you now impacting their ability to play, make money, etc. Before you were impacting just their ability to play or the scholarship, but now you're impacting pay and all of that. So if this rule passes, look for that to ultimately set up some form of a union for college athletes will follow if this bill passes. Literally, if the bill passes, look for it to ultimately lead to it. And here's the funny part about this. It will be established as law, but enforcement of the passed bill would be the responsibility of the NCAA. But the Federal Trade Commission would provide some support. Like it, love it, or hate it, I think something is going to happen with the bill, and it will be able to help hopefully bring some control to the Wild Wild West. I'm mixed on it, but I do like some of the things that they have in there. Hey, listen, X had to step out unexpectedly today, but he'll be back on tomorrow. All things going as planned. If not, we'll be here and we'll keep it going. I appreciate all the fans, the followers, the listeners, the viewers, and the chatters for being a part of the show. I'm Martin Houston. That's Noah Haynes. We'll be back on tomorrow for more of the same great content. It's the Martin Houston Show, the Sound of Bama Sports, your show, your team, the fastest hour in sports radio. Hey, remember this, trust in the Lord always. Lean not your own understanding. All your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. And while you're out there today for lunch, check out Billy's Cooking Restaurant, located directly across from Holt High School. Roll Tide out there, everybody. Have a blessed day.